From a perfectly circular chunk of ice discovered in the middle of a rural Chinese river, to an incredible moment a tree burns from the inside out after being struck by lightning, and a volcano that is seen erupting behind a towering dust devil tornado. Here are 5 nature moments that are 1 in a million. Shenandoah Falls is a provincial park in British Columbia, Canada. And for the record, provincial parks are similar to national parks. The only difference is they are designated by provinces or territories within a country instead of the country itself. They're like state parks, and pretty common in Canada, South Africa, Belgium, and Argentina. On December 27th of 2021, Brad Atchison was trekking through the snowy trails of Shenandoah Falls when he found a stream flowing through the ice. Then, he noticed something was off, like the water was disappearing before his very eyes. It gets pretty cold up in British Columbia, cold enough to turn water into ice in the blink of an eye. What looks like Hollywood magic is a natural occurrence called phrasal ice. Brad watches as the baby blue stream freezes before his eyes, tracing back toward the logs in the distance. If you didn't know any better, you'd think a fresh patch of snow had just fallen on the ground. Phrasal ice forms when water drops rapidly in temperature and hovers around its freezing point. Wind and river flow mix the water from top to bottom, and tiny phrasal ice crystals sink to the floor. From there, the crystals multiply like cells in your body. Some say upwards of 1 million crystals per cubic meter. Eventually, enough of them appear to cover the water and boom, instant ice. Now, you'd be lucky to catch phrasal ice occurring in nature. If Brad had stopped to tie his shoe, he probably would have missed it. The next time you're hiking outside of Antigua, Guatemala, look towards the horizon to spot Mount Akutanango, an active stratovolcano with 2 tall peaks. Akutanango connects to the more well-known Volcán de Fuego, forming a volcano complex called La Horqueta. Some avid hikers were out for a stroll when a tall dust devil touched down ahead of them. They filmed the silly little storm, thinking they'd get a fun video to post on their socials. Then, they got a little something extra from Mother Nature.
Y se ve chiquito el refugio, pero dicen que es grande, ¿va mucha?
Sí. ¡Wow!
Miren, cabal, ahorita lo
agarraste.
Ah, lo agarré, cabal. Qué espectacular. Ah.
Está bravo.
Mira cómo tiró las rocas.
Sí.
¿Cómo se ve el...
Mira la onda de choque abajo, mira.
Hola.
La pura onda de choque, mira vos. Yo creo que la ha de sentir aquí uno, vamos.
Sí.
A la
mira
madre, ¿hasta dónde va?
The dust devil crests over the sand dune and heads down the hill. Our hikers watch it get closer, knowing the tiny sand tornado doesn't pose any threat. Out of nowhere, the volcano in the distance erupts in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What are the odds of them filming this exact spot when the volcano blew its lid? Now, there is some discrepancy online over which volcano they were filming, Mount Fuego or Akutanango. But seeing how Akutanango last erupted in 1972, we're gonna go out on a limb and say that this was Mount Fuego letting off a little steam. Hopefully, these hikers bought a lottery ticket when they made it back to town. Now, nobody wants to accidentally open a portal to hell in their front yard, but there's nothing they can do about lightning kicking in the door. Trees burning from the inside have become an odd phenomenon in recent years, with commenters calling it the gates of hell, the eye of Sauron, or a portal into the upside down. In reality, it's just nature being nature. Glenn Ratcliffe was hanging out at his home in Trinity, Texas, when a thunderstorm roared overhead. Lightning struck a hollow tree in his yard, but instead of bursting into pieces, the tree caught fire from the inside. Glenn walks outside and gets up close and personal with the burning tree. The perfect crack down the middle lets him see inside as red-hot wood burns like a Christmas fire. Then, Glenn steps around the tree to find flames billowing out of a hole. Thankfully, the fire never spread to the neighboring tree, as the winds were pretty calm that afternoon. According to the California Parks Department, lightning isn't the only thing that can set the inside of a tree on fire. When wildfires roll through, duff or debris at the tree's base burns hotter and longer. It eventually bores into the trunk and burns the tree from the inside. A fun fact, these hollow trees are called goose pens, as early settlers used to keep their geese in them. Nagano Prefecture is a landlocked region in Japan and home to Mount Yari, a 10,000-foot mountain with 7 different climbing routes. Yari was made famous by the 1964 book 100 Famous Japanese Mountains, written by avid mountaineer Kyuya Fukuda. His list has appeared in several documentaries about hiking books. A group of Japanese hikers thought they'd try one of Fukuda's mountains and hiked up the Kitakama Ridge. But Mother Nature had other ideas that day, and a freak earthquake turned their leisurely hike into a terrifying experience.
There. 落ち着けよ。さっちゃん、あんまりね、壁に捕まってると落ちるよ。上、まだ来てるよ。すごい崩れてるよ。ああ、槍のところも煙がね、結構すごいね。まだ揺れてるかな。
4 hikers get trapped on a steep incline as rocks rain down. The woman below screams in fear and clings on for dear life. In her mind, this whole thing could come crashing down at any second. She eventually regains her composure, and the cameraman focuses on the other side of the mountain. You can see dust rising off the side from where other rocks rolled to the bottom. The Japanese archipelago is home to 10% of the world's active volcanoes and experiences about 5,000 minor earthquakes yearly. Most of these go unnoticed as they're too weak to cause real damage. Then again, some of them are clearly noticeable. This is because Japan overlaps 4 tectonic plates: the Pacific, the Philippine, the Eurasian, and the North American. So, the next time you want to go hiking in Japan, keep those facts in mind. The Yangtze River is China's lifeblood and is responsible for a significant portion of its GDP. Hundreds of villages, towns, and cities along the river basin rely on the Yangtze for survival, from its near-frozen tributaries in the northeast to the warmer climates of central China. In fact, the Yangtze has over 700 tributaries, or shorter offshoots. One of those tributaries is the Gan River in Heilongjiang Province. In March of 2021, a drone enthusiast captured incredible footage of an ice disk rotating on the Gan. Their drone flies overhead, putting the ice disk's perfect dimensions in perspective. The only way to describe it is mesmerizing. The drone approaches a circle of ice in the water. You can barely make out the semicircular cut from the main iceberg, but when the drone flies overhead, we finally see the ice disk in all its glory. It's almost too perfectly cut to be true, like a crop circle or the pyramids. The ice disk rotates counterclockwise in the water, but never moves from its spot. Ice disks like this happen in cold climates around the world. National Geographic describes them as happy accidents in Mother Nature, with some getting as big as 300 feet in diameter. Just ask the residents of Westbrook, Maine, circa January 2019. Scientists believed they formed when river water created a whirlpool effect under a chunk of ice. This causes the edges to erode over time, making a perfectly circular cut in the ice. In 2016, researchers added to that theory, believing that temperature changes in the water are what keep them spinning. Warm water is less dense than cold water. As the ice melts and sinks, it creates a vortex under the disk, thus causing rotation. Other scientists were skeptical of this temperature theory, believing the river current caused the disk to rotate. But hey, what is science but constant debate and questioning? Guatemala City is the most populous urban area in Central America and the capital city of, you guessed it, Guatemala. The city is rich with culture and history, as it was built atop the ancient Mayan settlement of Caminaljuyu after the Spanish conquest. Then, in 1821, Guatemala City hosted Central America's declaration of independence from Spain. Guatemala City is also known for the massive volcanoes looming in the background. Volcán de Fuego, the volcano of fire, is the most famous and deadly, but several other volcanoes surround the Guatemalan capital. In fact, the country is home to 37 stunning volcanoes. While hiking on Mount Fuego, a group of tourists got the opportunity to watch it erupt right in front of them.
Wow! Wow! Oh my! Wow! Ay! Ay, tocando lava! Wow! Oh my! Whoa!
They either knew something was coming or were recording at the right time. Seconds into the video, the volcano erupts and excitement overtakes one of the girls. She jumps up and down as the bright orange lava shoots from the mouth and spills down the sides. Someone in that group must feel a little panicked. As cool as it looks, we're sure nobody wants to be that close to an erupting volcano. A native Guatemalan who was raised in the US booked an expedition in January of 2020. They got within 150 meters of the erupting crater, which required a 2-day hike up through the mountains. The volcano-loving hikers got everything they wanted and more when the ground started shaking, and they knew the mountain of fire was bound to erupt any second. So, maybe they actually wanted to be that close to an erupting volcano. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thank you all for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.